Everybody, this is Perch. I got an email saying basically, why do I harp on marketing so much? Shouldn't the characters sell themselves? And kind of it's, you know what's amazing me, by the way, is it's 2021 and people still use LOL. I don't know why that messes with my head, but it just like I've firmly attached LOL to AOL and kind of that time period, and them sending you 3.25-inch discs in the mail and all that other crap, like old person crap. And so when somebody's like LOL, I'm like, I don't know. It's like I can't believe this is still going. I know that's weird, but it's funny the things that go on. But anyway, why harp on marketing? What's the big deal about marketing? The point that the person was trying to make, which I found interesting, was basically saying you don't need marketing for Spider-Man or Batman or characters everybody knows. Marketing is not necessary. And I think that was a fascinating statement. I mean, first of all, I completely disagree, but it's kind of, if that was true, why does Coca-Cola need marketing? Why does Delta? Why does why does GM? Why does Ford? Why does anything? And once a brand is known, why do you need to do anything? For that matter, once you are a presidential candidate, like once you're Biden and Trump, why do you need ads? Why do you need any of that? People know who Trump is. He doesn't need anything, of course. But people, of course, do marketing because you do need it. You need it for a lot of things. You need to continue to position your brand. You need to continue to kind of make sure you're stable and present in everybody's life. And don't get me wrong, I hate billboards and constant advertising and all that other crap too. But it is a if you have a property, just being popular doesn't mean you get to stop doing marketing because your brand is known. That's not how that works. In fact, you could argue that is a little bit of what comics do. I think one of the observations, and that's why I like this question, even though I disagree with it, I like it because I think it reveals kind of a little truth of comics. Marketing in comics, particularly with the big two, is poor. Is the best way to put it. And I know that there's some good people there who work there, and I always wind up offending people. I don't, it's weird how I could complain about box quality. Like this cardboard box, it gets soaks up water and it starts to disintegrate. And it doesn't hold the goods inside of it very well. And sure enough, like somebody will respond like, "Sir, I work for the box company, and you're insulting my livelihood." And I'm like, "Oh my God, what? There's a box company?" Anyway, but I don't think it's that controversial a statement to say that marketing in comics is poor to confused. It may be the generous way to put it is confused. I get it's a tough problem when you have a much larger marketing engine promoting Avengers Endgame, and then you're the marketing arm of the comics, which have an Avengers team that does not resemble in any way, shape, or form the what people are seeing on the movies. I get that, and you have a fraction of that budget. I get it's weirder, it's harder. I've heard people who work in David Gabriel's office and other places say things like, our job's already hard enough because we're trying to convince the world that has moved on from paper that they want to buy paper and not just buy it every month. Buy it like it's a losing battle. By the way, I think if that is your perception, you are in the wrong job. It's like just like I think if you're a vegan, you shouldn't work at a steakhouse. I think you're torturing yourself at that point. What are you doing? Anyway, it's it's I think of a lot of analogies here that take us off on various tangents. But marketing is really important. It's important because for comics, it's the way to not just refresh the brand, remind people it's out there. It's how you keep building. And I think that there's a lot of very easy things you can do with marketing that will improve matters a lot. In many cases, one of the ironies, I don't know, the mistakes, the misconceptions, however you want to put it, of today's comics is that the negative view, if you go on social media, you look at YouTube and you see the negative comments that are made toward Marvel and DC, you'll notice that a lot of the negativity is really based around like 5% of their line. Maybe that's low, 10%, let's say, of their line. People complain about the same things typically over and over. What's interesting about that is that the more tragedy in my mind is that there's a majority of the content this nobody talks about, positively or negatively, and marketing doesn't talk about either. I mean, we've talked about how Daredevil is a good title, but Daredevil is headed for cancellation. I mean, that shouldn't shock anyone. It gets next to no buzz. It was actually charming and remarkable when they had Elektra become Daredevil while Matt's in jail. I'd say spoilers, but I mean they put that right on the cover, and it's been on the cover for like 4 months now. So you can't have missed that. But it is, other than that, I mean, the comics are still coming out. You would have no idea. It's dead silent. This happened to Hawkman back in the day as well. Complete silence. As much as people like it now, when Super Sons was coming out, there was almost no conversation about this title. Certainly not from DC. And then outside of DC, they're not doing any promotion or marketing. They're really purely relying on homemade fan videos and comments to kind of keep this thing going, and that's broken. It's outsourcing your marketing to people you don't control who may or may not do anything, and most of the time they don't. If you look at the negativity about Marvel and DC, you will notice that it's usually Captain Marvel. People don't like Captain Marvel. Sometimes Miss Marvel. Sometimes it's based on creators. Danny Lore. They make some comments about the bad Twitter people, and then that gets tied into Champion. Sometimes that happens. There's complaints about variant schemes, like Heroes Reborn has a zillion variants and other things. She-Hulk is ugly. The kind of the standard list of things that people go down when they're talking about Marvel. But when was the last time anybody, I mean, other than the Star Wars New Republic comic, like, did you realize they are still publishing Darth Vader? Are you aware there's a Bounty Hunter series, that there's remember that Doc Afra character that people were really pissed about? They're still publishing that. Star Wars. I mean, when I do these solicitation videos for Marvel and DC, one of the funnier things is when you'll see in the comments people are like, "Wow, I didn't know that they're still publishing any of these, or like half of these. I never hear about them." And that's why you need marketing. That's why you do need to get out there with your books. Did you know that Savage Avengers is still being published? I mean, if you're collecting that book, sure, of course you know. But did you know that Conan the Barbarian is currently in modern times and he's hanging out with like Wolverine and Deadpool? Did you know that was going on? I, a lot of people don't, which is weird to think about. If you're a fan of that comic and you're plugged into Marvel, you might be surprised that that's true, but it is. There, people don't know, and that's why you need marketing. It's not necessarily because of the bad stuff. It's not necessarily because of the top selling brands. People are kind of aware there's a Spider-Man comic book out there somewhere, but you still want to promote the fact that, you've got spin-offs, you've got storylines, you've got titles. You still need to do some of that. And in particular, you need to aim that marketing at people who do not know it already exists, meaning not the people going into the comic shop every week, probably not the people watching this video. You need to get out there with some brand marketing, and it's critical that you do that. And it doesn't matter if everybody in the world and lots of people know who Batman is. But despite the fact that Batman is one of DC's top sellers, and despite the fact that there's dozens of Batman clones out there, very few people are buying Batman. Considerably, given the amount of worldwide recognition that character has, not a lot of people are buying that character. You do need to go market Batman, and not just the movie department marketing the Batman movie that's coming out in a year or so. We'll get lots of marketing then, but you actually do need to, remind people that there's a comic. You need to remind people, like, this character is cool. It's important, and popularity doesn't change that. But I mean, I guess it helps. Like I said, Batman's in a better place than, say, Savage Avengers. It's amazing to me when I run into people who are like, "I loved Conan the Barbarian. They should make a comic of that." Like, they are. There's one out there. There's one in Conan times. There's one in modern times. There's one where he's hanging out with superheroes. Did you know? It's pretty amazing. Anyway, that's why. So it's a good question. Anyway, like and subscribe, and let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for listening.